Unlock the thing! Take the chain off!
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere! I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of playtime!
Wrecked is our word for today, and today we're going to talk about an unexpected YouTuber's downfall. I mean, it's kinda safe to say that for now because number one, his name is undoubtedly stained, cemented in writing in Australian court, and probably most of his audience turned on him, for now at least. And two, he recently got wrecked financially because of a huge lawsuit he lost to Garrett Bobby Ferguson. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Billy Mitchell. Now to be clear, I'm not saying that Mr. Karl deserved what's happening to him because he's a piece of shit or something and he deserves it. No, I'm saying that he deserves it because I feel like it is the direct consequences of his mistakes. And there might not be a handful of mistakes made, but the impact of each mistake is big in my opinion. Now there's one thing that compelled me to do this video and it's on this timestamp. Now I know it's pretty far into the video, but I just wanted to build up the cringe so you'll be able to feel what I felt learning about this case. And I highly encourage you to watch and understand the mistakes made throughout the video in order to feel how massively upsetting the last mistake he made. A little backstory, Karl Jobst is a huge YouTuber that covers speedrunning and cheating. And his arch nemesis is the King of Kong, Billy Mitchell. And I say that because Karl Jobst really loves tickling Billy Mitchell's ball sack with a cactus. He really likes to talk about Billy and how much of a piece of shit and scumbag he is. And hey, in my opinion, rightfully so, because if you search up Billy Mitchell, you'll mostly see people trashing on him, calling him a cheater at his video game arcade scores, which his popularity stems from. And from that cheating allegations and stories, he starts suing people to prove that his records are real. Then his massive popularity became this dirty joke pool that everyone can't help but to pee on. And you can see Cartoon Network and Adam Sandler joining in this pee party at Billy Mitchell's pool, taking a crack out of Billy's infamy. And if it's not that obvious to you, those side characters are both mimicking the legendary hair of Billy, and their characters are both cheaters. And my personal favorite here is GBF or Garrett Bobby Ferguson from Regular Show, which Billy Mitchell also sued and got dismissed because the judge declared that Regular Show didn't defame King Billy because GBF is an alien. Nice try there, King Billy. But I'm not here to shoot strays at Billy Mitchell's luscious hair because I believe he had his fair share of spit from others, because today I'm here to talk about what I think went massively wrong in Mr. Karl Jobst's trial and his actions that blasted him to the eye of Billy Mitchell's shitstorm. So in April 2025, Billy Mitchell officially and legally slapped Karl Jobst's cheeks, and Karl Jobst lost and must pay King Billy 350,000 Australian dollars because the judge found out that there are a substantial amount of aggravated damages made by Karl because of his defamatory statements. Now I bet you might be thinking, why would there be damages and defaming? Isn't Billy Mitchell been outed for cheating numerous times? Well, yeah, sure, but the lawsuit isn't about cheating. It never even related to that at all. The lawsuit is about Karl making a statement about Billy Mitchell being a huge contributing factor to Apollo legend unaliving himself.
Who?
Yeah, I know, I didn't even know that another YouTuber is involved in this. So Apollo Legend is another YouTuber that has been also sued by Billy for his videos and ended up unaliving himself a few years back because of a lot of factors at play. And Karl dishes out some misinformation that implied that Billy is a major factor of his decision. So, you shocked? Well, you're not the only one because even big YouTubers like Mr. Mudahar from Some Ordinary Gamers.
Now, this entire lawsuit, is kind of a bombshell for me because I was wondering the whole time, like, it's probably got to do with all the cheating stuff, right? This is not stuff that I really was privy to. Everything about this section of the lawsuit kind of feels new to me.
And Mr. Asmongold were also caught off guard.
Like, in my opinion, I'll tell you this, right? As somebody who, like, I've watched Karl Jobst a bit, like, I know the guy, etc. And so, like, I've watched, like, maybe 10 or 20 of his videos. I thought the lawsuit was about cheating. I had no idea it had anything to do with, like, this guy killing himself. I didn't even know this was part of it.
And I'm not exempted on that as well, as someone who really didn't follow the lawsuit as much. Like, I didn't even know who Apollo Legend was until I learned why Mr. Karl Jobst lost. Because of how much trashing Mr. Karl did to Billy Mitchell about his cheating and fraudulent lawsuits, I really thought that this was about Billy trying to silence someone because his ego is being hurt again, which is partially true, and I'll get into that later. Now let's take a look at what Mr. Karl actually said and judge for yourself whether it really counts as defamation for you guys.
He also sued YouTuber Apollo Legend for $1 million. I haven't spoken about this publicly, but this lawsuit ultimately ended with Apollo giving in and settling with Mitchell. He was forced to remove all of his videos about Mitchell's cheating and paid him a large sum of money. This left him deeply in debt, which required him to find extra work. But with his ongoing health issues, this was all too much of a burden, and he ultimately took his own life. Not that Billy Mitchell would ever care though. In fact, when Billy Mitchell thought Apollo died earlier, he expressed joy at the thought. The lawsuit against Apollo was just as frivolous as the rest, and Apollo definitely would have won in court, but again, he was extremely ill and couldn't handle the ongoing stress.
So what do you think? Do you think it's defamation? Well, here's Mr. Karl's explanation for that and where he got that information.
This was inaccurate because the settlement terms did not involve Apollo Legend paying Billy any money. Even though this claim did turn out to be false, I believed it to be true at the time. I had been personally told there was a cash settlement, which numerous others said they were told as well, and this was also stated by multiple Reddit users, with one of them even claiming to have spoken with Apollo directly. Obviously, a Reddit post isn't usually very credible, but this person made these comments and was talking about the settlement before the settlement was even public, which implied to me that they knew what they were talking about and it was trustworthy.
Well, for me, I think this is two of Karl Jobst's biggest mistake, and number one is, for me, his statement is absolutely defamatory. I disagree with him completely, and I actually like Mr. Karl. I didn't want to disagree with him as much, but fair is fair. So why do I think it's defamatory even though he states that he never claimed it? So I tried to listen to the statement again and again, and I found a critical point in it that felt like the hole in Mr. Karl's armor. So if you listen closely, he said
he was forced to remove all of his videos about Mitchell's cheating and paid him a large sum of money. This left him deeply in debt, which required him to find extra work. But with his ongoing health issues, this was all too much of a burden, and he ultimately took his own life.
There. That's what I think what the judge saw. That's Mr. Karl's kryptonite right there. Because from that statement alone, he heavily implied, not claimed, heavily implied that although there were a lot of factors at play, the financial burden from Billy's lawsuit with Apollo was the biggest factor on why Apollo Legend did what he did. It didn't matter if he only stated a sequence of events, the main problem is what he implied at that statement. Because in reality, the statement he made about Apollo paying Billy that's why he's in debt were completely false.
I then sent Apollo's brother an email explaining the situation, and asked if he could confirm if my statement was incorrect.
A few moments later,
I received an email reply from Apollo Legend's brother. He confirmed that originally Billy had tried to get money from Apollo, but this greatly upset Apollo because he simply had no money to give. And ultimately, they adjusted the settlement, and in the final version there was no money transfer.
Which actually leads me to his second biggest mistake, where he got that info from. So earlier he said that he got that info from a rumor circulating online about Apollo paying Billy a bunch of cabbages.
I'd been personally told there was a cash settlement, which numerous others said they were told as well, and this was also stated by multiple Reddit users, with one of them even claiming to have spoken with Apollo directly.
So basically all of Mr. Karl's quote-unquote concrete proof is all he said, she said, and only asked Apollo's brother whether or not his statements are true after he made that untrue statement. So that means the evidence came before the statement, which should have been the other way around, which leads me to Mr. Karl's third biggest mistake, the retraction. So after that legal jump scare of King Billy, Mr. Karl immediately deleted that segment and planned to make a retraction. But Big Body Billy said to Mr. Karl that it doesn't matter what he say or do, the lawsuit will happen, like Eren Yeager or something. The rumbling will happen and nothing's gonna stop me from legally thunderclapping Karl Jobst's cheeks.
In the pinned comment of Billy's response video, he even said that removing the words or making a retraction would make no difference.
But Mr. Karl planned to do it anyway because he wanted to take the damage control as far as possible since the lawsuit is inevitable. But there's one major problem.
I still planned on releasing a retraction, and in my video, The Greatest Feat in Video Game History, I included this segment at the end. Now, before I finish the video, I would like to take this opportunity to correct something that I said in a previous video.
Yeah, you heard that right, the retraction is at the very end of a 30-minute video. Now, if you're a YouTuber, you know that most people don't reach the end of the video, and that became a huge deal in their trial, and also in other factors such as his audience. And people got mad at him for that, because why would a retraction be at the very end of the video? Which led people and the judge to believe that he didn't want people to see it. And I'm gonna show you clips of the judge hammering down Mr. Karl with Mr. Asmongold reacting to it, for added engagement per se, like wow, damn, that's crazy. Enjoy.
Mr. Jobst contended that for a number of reasons, any damages I award should be minimal or at least reduced due to two mitigating factors. One of those factors was that he published the so-called retraction video. For the reasons I've already mentioned about that video, I do not consider that it had any mitigatory effect. Rather, publishing the retraction at the time and in the manner he did was an aggravating feature of his conduct. He did not publish it in a way that would draw it to the attention of the original audience, but instead essentially hid it from view. And of course, he did not retract any of the imputations against Mr. Mitchell, nor apologize to him.
And I agree, because if that is truly done properly and with the best intent, it should have been at the very start of the video or a whole other separate video to really push the sincerity. So it did feel very sneaky. It felt like it was there just for the sake of saying, well, at least I retracted it. So it didn't matter if it got many views if the retraction was never seen, because it was at the end. And I'm one of those, because I watched that video, clicked out way before the retraction. So what I'm seeing here is this is high ego that got left unchecked, and I'll explain that later in the timestamp I showed earlier. And now the moment of truth, the judge hammered down Mr. Karl and he was ordered to pay King Billy a bunch of big bucks.
I have concluded that there should be judgment for Mr. Mitchell in the sum of $300,000 for non-economic loss and $50,000 in aggravated damages. As I say in my reasons, he may well have been justified in being ordered to pay more than $50,000 in aggravated damages.
So Karl lost the lawsuit.
And this part is actually very jarring to me. Like, why is the payment so high? I need to know, what kind of humongous damage did Billy present in court? Because Mr. Karl revealed his defense way before the hearing, saying that all he had to do is prove that there's no reputational damage done because Billy Mitchell has no reputation to begin with. Something like that.
One of them is to say that Billy didn't have a good reputation to begin with, so it's not possible that it caused him any damage. Before I published the video in question, it was already well established that Billy was a cheater. Billy himself has already proven that his reputation was destroyed long before I ever talked about him. And he proved this by suing Twin Galaxies for $11 million in 2 states. He sued Apollo Legend for $1 million. And he sued Jeremy Young, Jeff Harris, and the Donkey Kong Forum for $3 million. In all of those lawsuits, he claims that his reputation was destroyed by their statements. He can't say that Twin Galaxies destroyed his career in his lawsuit in America and then come over to Australia and say that his reputation was amazing and I destroyed it once again. That doesn't make any sense, but that's exactly what Billy is doing. If I can establish that Billy had a bad reputation to begin with, it doesn't matter if I can or can't prove any of my claims against him, because you can't damage what is already completely destroyed. But in saying that...
But okay, let me get this straight. So like the lawsuit was about blaming Billy of being a major factor of someone unaliving themselves. Then Mr. Karl's defense was, but he's a cheater and he's a piece of shit. Well, yeah, now I can kinda clearly see why Mr. Karl lost. I mean, that is just too far of a defense. Okay, now I'm curious, like the damages that were argued by Billy must have been straight to homelessness level of hurt for that to merit 350,000 Australian dollars of compensation. Because yeah, Mr. Karl stated that untruthful stuff, but I don't think it damaged King Billy that much. Especially he said that what Mr. Karl and the others only minimally got on his nerves.
Did the actions that Karl Jobst and David Race and Jeremy Young and Jeff Harris take also cause you emotional distress?
That is minimal compared to this.
Why?
Because this is where it all began.
So why? How? I need an explanation. Like, how in Mother Earth did Billy prove that his infamous reputation has been damaged even more? King Billy, lay down thy argument please. How did you win? Please? So after the lawsuit, a sad day for Mr. Karl of course, and then his day got even sadder because you'd expect his audience to be like, "Oh, nice try, champ. Better luck next time." No, they instantaneously turned on him and slapped Mr. Karl's already red and beaten up cheeks, and it was caused by mainly 2 things. So first, it was not really clear what the lawsuit was about. He only hinted.
Billy Mitchell is referring to the YouTuber Apollo Legend, who tragically took his own life in December of 2020. I won't go into specifics about this particular point because it does relate to his ongoing lawsuit against me.
And he didn't really clarify that it is literally the lawsuit that he has been hit with.
Normally, I'd give you a full breakdown of this kind of thing, but because this one involves me, I'm going to keep my cards a lot closer to my chest.
He's right on the money there. Only Mr. Karl's left and right pectoral muscles and his lawyers knew about the lawsuit. Most of the people are left bamboozled. Like Mr. CoffeeZilla, for example. Mr. CoffeeZilla didn't have a problem stating what he is being sued about. He stated that he is being sued for his tweets about Logan Paul.
The rest of the victims in court. And it's those videos and tweet where I ask for refunds, which I'm being sued for.
Now that is an example of complete transparency. So why did Mr. Karl only hinted what his lawsuit really is? Why didn't he flat out admitted that it is the lawsuit itself? Yet he happily discussed the cheating lawsuits that he has been threatened with, which were never filed. Well, I can think of two things, or maybe it's a combination of both. And number one is, as he said, that he really didn't think much of it because it's such a tiny mistake, and the 3 threats later on is about cheating.
Taken action against me on 4 separate occasions, with 3 of those having nothing to do with Apollo Legend.
And 2 is just my speculation, is that Mr. Karl knew the power of people's support on his side, and he didn't want that swaying away somewhere that he didn't want. Because if people knew firsthand what the lawsuit was about, and it's about that horrible statement he made, people are not gonna want to support him as much. I mean, if I learned that, I'm gonna be like,
I don't know.
So I believe he won't get supported as much as he had, because him making that statement is clearly wrong. Now he said that maybe people are just mad at him because he lost, because some of them said that they already knew what the lawsuit was about from the beginning.
The fact that so many people got upset or felt misled after the judge's decision and I lost the lawsuit came as a huge shock to me. There was a lot of reporting being done around the time of the trial, and no backlash occurred then, when it was also very clear what the trial was about. And I've had many people tell me they always knew exactly what the lawsuit was about and they don't feel misled. So it would be very easy for me just to claim that people are only upset because I lost and Billy won, which is not the outcome everyone wanted.
Well, no, because the trial was lost because of a reason, and that reason shocked everyone because not everyone followed the lawsuit closely like those people he was talking about. Because, I mean, even his co-investigator didn't know. He was only advised that he was a witness about the cheating stuff.
Well, it's because I would say, just from a viewer perspective, I really did think this whole case was about just cheating. I actually did have a chance to speak to Karl's defense. They were actually putting me as a relevant witness. I actually didn't get into his case at all. It really did feel like they were talking about Billy Mitchell's cheating for a video game. That's literally all I was pretty much asked for.
And I believe it's not the people's obligation to know the exact details, because I believe the person behind the platform is the one responsible for telling them what's up. Clear cut, no hints. And this actually leads me to my last point and what actually compelled me to make this video. And this one is pretty upsetting. So his last mistake is he got extremely cocky, overconfident. Because remember when I said that his ego got left unchecked? And oh boy, it really got left unchecked. And he flew too close to Uranus. I mean, he even shared the link of the court cam here, treating it like it's a fight night pay-per-view. And it's actually very fitting, to be honest. Because you know those videos of fighters showboating, being cocky and arrogant before the fight, and their opponent is just cool as a cucumber, then the cocky one was the one ended up eating shit? Well, this is similar to that. Because Mr. Karl talked so much shit before the trial, it's making me uncomfortable. And let me show you some cringe-worthy examples of Mr. Karl just gassing himself too much way before the trial started, saying that he won't accept any settlement from Billy.
In any case, the most important thing to realize is that this lawsuit, including trial, will have cost me around $500,000. This means if Billy loses, he will almost certainly be required to pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars to cover my expenses. This is obviously a big deal, and I would be stupid to accept any settlement that didn't also include the payment of all of my costs, given that I think the judge will award them to me at trial. So the chances of me and Billy settling before trial are extremely low, and I don't foresee any circumstance in which that happens. Billy can't just drop the lawsuit either. If he does try to run away before trial or simply avoids it, he will lose by default, and will still need to compensate me for my expenses. This lawsuit will go to trial, and the only way for Billy to avoid it is to simply lose before that even happens. If I were Billy, I would be shitting myself because if he loses, he will lose big. And right now, things aren't looking good.
Yeah, oof. Saying that, then bam, paying Billy $350,000. And Mr. Karl is not done because he is adamant on not settling with Billy, like challenging him to a cage match like Bonesaw to Spider-Man.
Hey! Unlock the thing! Take the chain off!
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere! I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of playtime!
When Billy Mitchell settled with Twin Galaxies back in January, the entire world wept. What we all want more than anything is for Billy to have his ass handed to him in court. We want to see a real, bona fide loss. Honestly, at this point, Billy's lawsuit against me is the world's last chance to see this epic defeat happen. If Billy loses to me, it will be devastating for multiple reasons, which I will get into shortly. So this is really important that it does go to trial, and I do my very best to serve Billy the loss he so desperately deserves. But he has settled before, and not just with Twin Galaxies, with the YouTuber Apollo Legend as well, and both times the public was very upset. Is there any chance the same might happen with me? The answer is almost certainly no. There is a big difference between Billy's lawsuits in America and his lawsuit against me, which is in Australia. In America, even if you win as the defendant, there is no guarantee you'll get any of the court costs back. You might have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars defending yourself, and when you win, you get absolutely nothing. This is why in America, settling is a very tempting resolution, and this is why Twin Galaxies decided to settle. It was just a lot cheaper. In Australia, things are different. Here, almost always, the loser is ordered to pay the court costs of the winner. I'm pretty confident that I'm going to win. So from my perspective, it seems silly to settle because I believe I will be successful, and I believe that Billy will be ordered to pay back most of my costs.
Man, I remember hearing that in his video. Then it turned out that the one that got the real bona fide loss is him. Oh my golly goodness. And I believe that this also led people to lean more into the cheating stuff because Mr. Karl is so confident that he would win because he has the upper hand, right? Because Billy is a proven cheater, right? So like Billy is fighting a losing battle, which turned out to be complete and absolutely wrong.
The world needs Billy to lose. Not only would Billy need to pay me a lot of money if he loses, but we will also have an official ruling by a judge on a lot of these issues. This is because this particular trial will be decided by a judge and not a jury. So a judge is going to examine all of the evidence, and a judge will give his ruling and opinion on all of these issues. So if a judge rules that Billy was exposed for cheating, this opinion will be cemented in writing and will carry a lot of weight. If Billy loses this lawsuit, the judge's opinion is going to be very damaging for him, and that's another reason why I think it was very stupid for Billy to have started these proceedings.
You see how maximum cringe can occur knowing that he lost in the end while watching this video? Well, just remember to never ever celebrate too early because now his name is the one cemented in writing by the court and is extremely damaging to his name. Man, that is pretty cut and dry karma right there. Now I went to his video after his explanation about the case and people are still mad, echoing the same thing of not knowing what the lawsuit is about and how it changed people's perspective, knowing what it truly is about. And Mr. Karl posted the video recently and he's still catching strays, but I believe this will be over soon if he just ignored the backlash and keep making content. Well, he kinda needed to because he needs to pay up. So yeah, the best case scenario for Mr. Karl here is for the ruling to be overturned completely and his audience worship him again. And he lived happily ever after with Billy Boy. The end. But my best guess is that the damages that he is required to pay will be lessened a bit because $350,000 is just too damn high. So that's it. Bye.